Hey everybody, upon request I'm going to do a video on factoring by grouping. So the one thing you'll notice when factor by grouping is to factor by grouping we have to have four different terms. So here we have four terms. We have the x to the third, 5x squared, negative 2x, and negative 10. So that's the first thing you'll realize when we're doing factor by grouping is that we will have four terms. And then once you realize that, what you need to do is group them into pairs. So for instance, I'm going to group this first two terms, and then I'm going to group this second two terms, and I'm going to put a plus sign in the middle. So again, I'm looking at these first two terms and the second two terms, and I'm going to treat them separately. So with the first two terms, so looking at these two terms, I then ask myself, what is the GCF, or the greatest common factor, of those two terms? Now looking at it, I have x to the third and 5x squared. Well, because this number in front of the x to the third is a 1 and 5 don't have any common factors besides 1. But x to the third and x squared, so remember when we're dealing with variables, we take the lowest exponent. So we can actually take out x squared, again, because 2 is the lowest exponent. And so then we ask ourselves x squared, or we divide rather each term by x squared. So we divide that term and that term by x squared. X to the third divided by x squared is just x. And then 5x squared over x squared, the x squareds cancel, and we're left with just 5. So again, we're just factoring out the GCF of each group, sorry. Now if we look at the second group, what would be the GCF? Now they don't both have an x, so we can't take an x out, but we do have 2 and 10, or negative 10. Now they both can take out a 2, but because this first term is negative, I'm going to take out a negative 2 rather than just a 2. I'm going to go ahead and set it equal to 0. And remember, when you factor something out, you divide each term by that thing you're factoring out. So in this case, negative 2. So here the negatives 2 cancel, and we're left with just x. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is positive 5. And here's what's really important. If you're doing factor by grouping, you can only do that if, let me use a different color here, these are the same. So if these are not the same, either you did something wrong when you took out the GCF, or you're not able to factor by grouping. All right, once you get to this step, whatever is the same is one parentheses. So the x plus 5 is the same. So that's going to be my first parentheses. And then whatever on the outside of the parentheses goes into my second one. So my second one would be x squared minus 2. Oops. So just to recap, you have four terms. You group them into pairs. So the first two terms are one group, second two terms are the second group. Then you factor out the GCF of each group, and then if these are the same, the stuff inside the parentheses, then you write what's inside the parentheses in one, and then what's on the outside on another. And then once you get to this step, it's just like solving any other way. We set each one of these equal to 0, so x plus 5 equals 0, x squared minus 2 equals 0, and then we solve. So here we would end up with x equals negative 5. Make sure equal sign. Here we would add 2 to both sides and get x squared equals 2. And then we would take the square root. Now, and again, don't forget, when you take the square root of both sides, you have to put plus and minus. So plus or minus root 2. And there you have it. So this is my answer, or one of them, and my other answer is negative 5. All right, well, hopefully this helps. Again, just remember, you have to have four terms. You group the first two together and then the second two together. You factor out the GCF, and then hopefully you get the same thing in parentheses. And then from there you rewrite it and set it equal to 0. Hope this helps. Probably not my best video, but that's okay. Again, hope this helps. If you have any more questions or would like me to do another one, please let me know.